Okay, now let's look at the middle of page 58. And we're going to do some practice problems where you find the angle measurement. Now, for this first one, it tells you angle 1 and angle 2 are complementary angles. So here's angle 1, here's angle 2. I know they're complementary because this is a 90-degree angle. And if I add 1 and 2 together, it equals 90 degrees, and that's the definition of complementary. Now, it says the measure of angle 1 is 46 degrees. Find the measure of angle 2. Well, if they're complementary, move this over. If they are complementary, I know that the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 90, because that's the definition of complementary angles. I'm going to substitute 46 for the measure of angle 1. Now I'm just going to solve this like an equation. I'm going to subtract 46 from both sides, and that means the measure of angle 2 equals 44 degrees. So the answer would be 44 degrees. Now, let's do one of the checkpoints before I have you do the rest of the checkpoints on your own. Checkpoint number 4. So they tell you the measure of angle 1 is 64 degrees. And they want you to find the measure of angle 2, which the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 90 degrees. So you could say the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 90. You could substitute 64 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 90. Subtract 64, subtract 64, and we get the measure of angle 2 equals 26 degrees. Now, if you want to show all that work, that's great. But actually, let's look at what we're really doing. To get the answer, what we're really doing is just taking 90 and subtracting 64. So let's try that shortcut for number 5. So if the measure of angle 1 equals 13 degrees, and I want to find the measure of angle 2 and they're complementary, I just take 90, subtract 13, and I get 77. Okay, so now I want everyone to stop the video and do 6 and 7 on your own. When you're done, start the video again and see if you're correct. So, number 6, if the measure of angle 1 equals 82, and I know the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 90 because I was told they're complementary, I could say 82 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 90. Subtract 82 from both sides, and the measure of angle 2 equals 8 degrees. Okay? Now, for number 7, I will do the shortcut way. The measure of angle 1 equals 7. I know 90 minus 7 will give me the measure of angle 2. 83 degrees. Okay? Now, if we turn to page 59, we're going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical angles. Vertical angles are opposite angles. Angle 2 and angle 4 are vertical angles. Vertical angles are opposite angles. 1 and 3 have the same measure because vertical angles have the same measure. 2 and 4 have the same measure because vertical angles have the same measure. Now, 1 and 2 are supplementary angles. They are supplementary because a straight angle, and this is a straight line, equals 180 degrees. So I know the measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 2 equals 180. So they tell us that the measure of angle 1 is 65 degrees, and they want us to find the measure of angle 2. So I say the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 180. And that means 65 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 180. I subtract 65 from both sides. The measure of angle 2 equals 115. Okay? So now they tell me to find the measure of angle 3. Well, I know the measure of angle 1 and angle 3 are the same because they're vertical angles. So that means this is 65 degrees because it's opposite angle 1. Then they want us to find the measure of angle 4. Well, I know the measure of angle 4 equals the measure of angle 2. So the measure of angle 4 equals a measure of angle 2. So the measure of angle 4 equals 115 because the measure of angle 2 was 115. Okay? So this is not written down, but I want everybody just to watch. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. Angle 2 is congruent to angle 4. Congruent means has the same measure. They're congruent because they're vertical angles. Angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 180. It equals 180 because that's a straight line. So angle 2 plus angle 3 equals 180 because that's a straight line. Angle 3 plus angle 4 equals 180 because that's a straight line. And angle 4 plus angle 1 equals 180. Okay? So, now, if that's the case, if I tell you this is 50 degrees, what would angle 3 be? Angle 3 would be 50 degrees. Now, if angle 1 is 50, how can I find the measure of angle 2? Well, I know they're supplementary, so I know 50 plus angle 2 equals 180. So I subtract 50 from both sides. Angle 2 equals 130. And if angle 2 is 130, what would the measure of angle 4 be? It would be 130 also. Okay, so now I want everyone to try checkpoint 8, 9, and 10 on page 59 on your own. Stop the video, and when you're done, start it again and see if you are correct. So, number 8. Okay. Number 8 says angle 1 plus angle 2 are supplementary. That means angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 180. Angle 1 is 132. Find the measure of angle 2. So I'd subtract 132, subtract 132. Angle 2 equals 48 degrees. Now, number 9 says angle 3 and angle 4 are supplementary, which means if I add them together, they equal 180. Angle 3 is 23 degrees. So I subtract 23, subtract 23, and angle 4 equals 157. Okay, now for number 10, it says, in example 3, okay, in example 3 we had 1, 2, 3, and 4. If the measure of angle 1 is 54 degrees, find the other 3. Okay, well the easiest one to find is the opposite angle or the vertical angle because we know vertical angles are congruent. So angle 3 would be 54. Now I know angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary. So if angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 180 and angle 1 is 54, that means angle 2 equals 180 minus 54 minus 54, and we get 126. Well, if this is 126, opposite angle 2, or vertical angles to angle 2 is angle 4, this would be 126.